live review, and it's going to be a good one, guys. I think right off the bat, instantaneously, it's the most artistically presented battle in all of Game of Thrones. It took the most risks. I think the cinematography was off the chain, really original, and just absolutely groundbreaking in a lot of different ways. Even from just like a war movie perspective, they really pushed the boundaries, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. But yeah, I mean, there was so much going on in this episode, far beyond even the battle at Winterfell. So it was really engaging to me in several ways. As a fight choreographer, I was mesmerized. As a filmmaker, I was just inspired. Okay, and just as an audience member, as a book reader of Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, I was pleased, quite pleased. So, anyways, I thought it was fantastic. Let me know what you guys think again. Sorry about the hiccup earlier. I'm back on. But this is going to be a live review, so please feel free to put your thoughts and concerns. I will respond live, and this will be archived as a video after. But yeah, again, right off the bat, it was fantastic. We started off this episode actually in Meereen, which was awesome with Daenerys and Tyrion. We picked up right where we were before, where they were kind of dealing with the, I don't know what to call it, the aftermath, if you will, of Tyrion's sort of screw-up, which he was addressing directly at the beginning of this episode, which I thought was pretty funny. That being said, it was awesome. I think it was fantastic as it all sort of unfolded here. And you may note that I have my own sort of Iron Throne behind me here, so it's pretty cool. It's a little hodgepodge, but I think it's pretty much on par with the show. You guys let me know what you think. But anyways, yeah, it was great. And can I just say before we even get into the episode, like, there's a couple of shots to me that were just unbelievable in this episode. I am just dumbfounded even speaking about it. Number one being, of course, you probably know what I'm talking about, where Jon Snow draws his sword, and he sort of reveals that he's, about to fight. And he kind of has this, I don't know how to describe it, this sort of, he's kind of settling to his fate. He's kind of resigning to his fate. He's assuming he's about to die. There's a cavalry charging at him at full force. And he just draws his sword and sort of throws the belt away, which, when he throws the scabbard away for Longclaw, that he's in for the fight. But anyways, it was fantastic. Like I said, I was just mesmerized. That shot leads in to a couple different shots, but then they get into the actual battle, and you have Jon Snow just surrounded by all this chaos, absolute cacophony of just death, violence, and pure insanity that is war. I thought it was awesome. I will talk about this later in a different video, just sort of the choreography behind that and sort of the ensuing chaos that they captured with that. I thought it was really fantastic. But anyways, back to sort of the episode. So we start in Meereen. We start with Daenerys. We start with Tyrion. I thought it was fantastically done. It was a very bite-sized sort of foray into what was going on in Meereen, but I think that was all right because, honestly, we're looking at, an episode that I think what they wanted to do is sort of clear out all the clutter that was going on in Meereen and sort of that cliffhanger that happened at the end of the last episode so that we could focus on what was going on with the Battle of the Bastards, the Battle of Winterfell. And I think they did it pretty effectively, to be honest with you. I love the effects in this episode. They really pushed the boundaries with the dragons, with the fleet of slavers, burning and melting in the bay. It was just exceptionally done. Exceptionally done. It really was. Very epic, says Derek Taylor. Yes, I have to agree, Derek. It was just absolutely out of control, wasn't it? I mean, there's just too much to say about it. Thanks for that, Derek. I'm glad you agree. But yeah, it was just awesome in Meereen to see. It felt very film-like because it was so summarized. And I say that in a good way. I think at times the only weakness that Game of Thrones suffers is it has a very sort of formulaic approach to the scenes. Okay, there's a conversation here, there's a conversation there, there's an action piece here, and we're back to that scene, and we're going to end with those characters. It sort of just separates everybody into these neat little compact scenes. And I feel this episode seriously benefited. Even though we did sort of do Meereen, then do Winterfell, in these broad strokes, I think it benefited from just a larger scale epic sort of editing and just scene composition. So we start out, in Meereen, and it's just, we didn't have to see, Tyrion and them meeting with the slavers and stuff. We jump right to the scene. And then all of a sudden, the dragons come. There's this massive victory. She's flying around on Drogon, just wreaking havoc on these ships, just destroying sailors, in the ships. It's just sort of this awe-inspiring, godlike display of destruction which of course makes the slavers' army surrender, their soldiers and their ships, right? So that was good. But what also happens is we have this interesting display by Grey Worm as he just destroys the two sort of I don't know, more greedy, sort of less loyal of the masters, destroys them and leaves the one they're giving up for dead. Pretty cool tactic to see sort of the scummier of the three, even though they're all sort of losers, right? They were sort of wiped out. So that was cool. And he said, you will sing the song of Daenerys and how merciful yet terrifying she is, should they ever rise up in rebellion. So pretty cool, and I really liked it. Anyways, like I said, I liked how it was just sort of edited in this bite-sized sort of way. It summarized what happened. It did it in a fantastically cinematic way, an impressive way. CG guys in this episode, they really stepped it up. They seriously stepped it up. I mean, it's got to be hard for them to do the dragon riding with the resources they have. It always reminds me of Harry Potter and Quidditch. I don't know why, but there's just something about it. And yeah, it's just really cool. And I think they pulled off just almost a comparable effect when she rides Drogon. I really do. And I'm sure visual effects aficionados and enthusiasts will possibly have some qualms with it, but I thought it was fantastic. I mean, it was beautiful. Anyways, that being said, it was a fantastic display of violence. Like I said, she just destroys the ships, tears them to pieces, and it's an absolute scene of destruction. Anyways, we conclude with that, and then we come to sort of the prequel, if you will, to the Battle of the Bastards, the titular sort of event of the episode. And it was very interesting to see Jon Snow meet with Ramsay and to have Sansa there. I mean, this for me is sort of the biggest step in Sansa's growth, the biggest step in Sansa's sort of bravery, if you will. The fact that she went to meet with Ramsay, it just says a lot. It just says a whole lot. The fact that she was just like, you know what? I'm doing this. And he was even, kind of playing it up like, it's nice to see you again. Thanks for returning my wife. Of course, Jon Snow is not having it. Jon Snow, for as heroic as Jon Snow is and as brave as he is, he doesn't really dabble in he's not the cleverest guy, right? He just kind of does what needs to be done. He'll do what no other man can do. He's a fantastic fighter. But when it comes down to it, yeah, he's not the most clever. Anyway, Ramsay is always kind of playing with people's minds and doing all this terrible stuff. Jon Snow just does what's right. He really does. I mean, as far as the Game of Thrones is concerned, you have like Varys, and you have Lord Peter Baelish, all these big, dangerous players in the Game of Thrones who will, unravel your mind and use it against you, right? Psychologically. Jon Snow has never really played that game. The closest he's come, I guess, is kind of infiltrating the wildlings. Very impressive. Don't get me wrong. But he just kind of did it by selling it to them on his strengths, in the fact that he's a bastard. So, anyway, the conversation was quite interesting between these two. You have Ramsay who's just, so obsessed with torturing people's minds, doing all these terrible things. Jon Snow just doesn't care. He's just like, yeah, so why don't we fight? It was just so funny to me to see such an honorable suggestion put towards Ramsay Bolton, like the scummiest person on earth, right? And he even kind of laughed at it. Like, does this guy know who I am? I'm a total loser. Like, does he really think I'm gonna take an honorable fight? It just proves that Jon's never met him. It was cool to see Sansa say, "You will die tomorrow." Pretty serious words to come out of her mouth. I think she just had enough of Ramsay at that point, and she wanted to finish him off. But anyways, as a whole, this episode just impressed me in so many ways. Getting into the actual battle now. It was interesting, of course. A lot of people predicted, my brother included, shout out to Richard, that he was going to find Shireen's, carved wooden Baratheon stag. And, and sort of that Iphigenia scene that happened last season where he sacrificed Shireen. He does this, of course. And Davos clearly has a sort of revelation here where he is not pleased. As if he's ever been pleased with Melisandre. In this case, he's extremely displeased. So, yeah, I don't think things are going to go well for her in the days to come. Of course, we'll see, and we'll figure that out. But overall, I think he's lost any shred of faith he has in her. Yes, he's seen her work miracles now and bring Jon Snow back. But besides that, she doesn't have a very good track record with him. So things will be interesting on that end. But getting back to this episode, so, it was cool to see Jon Snow and Sansa in this scene where they were going over battle plans. Sansa comes out, again, a very different Sansa than we're used to seeing. And she goes as far as to say like, "Hey, why didn't you consult me in that little meeting right there? Like, how dare you not consider that I know this guy inside and out? I know how his brain works, his mind, you know." And you kind of just ignored me. It was tough. So of course, Jon Snow again, just kind of doing the right thing. He's like, "I'm trying. Like, what else do you want me to do? We don't have any men. Hello." And that's where Sansa sort of hides her hand there. I don't like that she was doing that, and we're seeing in the preview of episode 10 that Jon Snow did not like that either. He being fairly confused at the end, I'm sure, like why the Eyrie is there to help them. The Knights of the Vale and all this stuff. So we'll address that next episode. But yeah, I don't think it was a good choice for Sansa. Luckily, things sort of sorted themselves out. I do think, I mean, I'm sure we all think that Littlefinger has his own plan here. But that being said, I don't know what he can do at this point and still save face. I don't see him trying to take control of Winterfell. I mean, you never know with that guy, but I don't see the Knights of the Vale, doing such an absurd thing. And we saw him, of course, convince the Knights of the Vale they should fight for our girl Sansa. So anyway, I think things are good. And Derek Taylor says, "Do you think Sansa is pregnant? Because she mentioned that the Bolton line is over." Because it's Game of Thrones, Derek, you never know, of course. That would be absolutely terrible. I don't think so. But I'm open to anything with this stinking show. I have no idea. That's a good point, though, Derek. I had not even considered that. I don't know that other people have either. I haven't heard that anywhere, but that's awesome. Really good suggestion for a sort of theory there. I think that would be terrible. I think we can all agree on that. That'd be really messed up. But yeah, who knows? Good one, Derek. I don't know that she's pregnant. Anyways, moving on. So yeah, the episode just from there unfolds into absolute chaos. It was cool before we get into the battle to see Theon and Yara. I'm not sure that I thought we were going to see this in this episode, to see them show up and everything. So pretty cool. Chronicles of Parenthood, great to see you on here. Says, "I don't think so. I think she just meant because he was about to be eaten." Right. Yes, I think so. Unclear though. I mean, that's an interesting theory. Like, it would really kind of throw a wrench in her plans if that happened. Yeah, he's such a monster, though. I mean, I can't see that happening, but hey, it's Game of Thrones. I've been surprised before. Hello, Lance. Lance chimes in and says, "I had a feeling last week that 1-1 would die. Holy crap, dude. Best episode ever. I'm still dizzy." I got to agree with you on that. I am sort of reeling myself, Lance, and I think it was a fantastic episode. Really sad to see 1-1 go. For those of you that don't read the books, 1-1 is, I should say, was the last of the Giants. So really sad to see him go. Such an awesome character. I think we've all, kind of fallen in love with 1-1. And I love his sort of simple, does what's right sort of mentality. And he goes ahead and says, Snow. And kind of like says to the wildlings that we need to follow Snow. He's a good guy. I've seen Snow do some things in my day. So it was really sad to see 1-1 go. I don't think we can give that kill to Ramsay. I'm not giving it to Ramsay. What he did, I don't know if any of you guys are video game fans, and how you doing, Titan? Good to see you on here. This is Stealthy Titan from Twitch. Good to see you on here, my friend. What Ramsay Bolton did to 1-1 was equivalent to, if you guys play video games, Super Smash Brothers or any sort of fighting game where, somebody else does all the damage to the person, and there's this thing where you can steal a kill, where you kind of rob somebody, and like somebody's done all the work to knock up this person's health and up their damage percentage, and then you just come in and get that kill with one hit. It's a cheap shot. That's what Ramsay Bolton did, man. 1-1 was already dead. No way we're giving that kill to that loser, right? Anyways, that's just me. 1-1 the Giant, the Last of the Giants. I always wish they included the song "The Last of the Giants" in the show. It was a really sort of eerie scene in the book that I loved. A really sad, tragic song where it's a song about the Last of the Giants in their language, I believe. So anyways, really good. Thanks for chiming in, guys. But I think, okay, as we get into the battle here, it was cool to see Theon and Yara, or Asha, whichever you prefer, meeting Daenerys. And it was really cool to see these interactions. I love, because I just watched episode 1 of Game of Thrones less than 24 hours ago with my cousins, Tammy and Catherine. And it was awesome to see, Tyrion referencing that meetup with Theon where he says, they're arguing, and he kind of makes fun of Theon. He chides him. He says, "Why are you loyal to your captors, Theon? It's like seeing it's really funny." Anyways, Chronicles of Parenthood chimes in again. It says, "I think they did a nice job at capturing how crazy battles actually are. Jon trying to talk during the battle, but interruptions come each time." I agree 100%. That shot, I talked about it briefly earlier, but that shot where it's just captured the absolute, hellish insanity of battle. I mean, yeah, that was it. And it's so important to have that ongoing shot. And I've seen stuff like this happen before in film, but not so well done. It was just, and it wasn't even like the uber violence or the gore or stuff like that. It was just the chaos of battle. Just like Chronicles of Parenthood says, it was just incredible to see. He's trying to talk to his friend. He says, "Get word to," and the guy's dead, and he's just shocked. He's about to get killed from behind. He doesn't even know this. This is how war works, right? He's about to get killed by a horse, a charging man on a horse, and somebody else spears him and saves Jon Snow and everything. It's just absolute chaos. And the fact that the shot was close to a minute long, I haven't clocked it officially, but it was really long, guys. I mean, being a fight choreographer, being a martial artist, and someone who has made and shot films like this, I'm sure you don't have to hear me say this, but that's extremely difficult to do. I believe that was shot in a studio, at least parts of it, but guys, insane. I don't know how long that took to shoot. That shot might have taken a week. And then the CG afterwards, months. Stealthy Titan says, "Hey, Phil, I tried to ask you on Twitch last time. How was your visit to Dallas?" My visit to Dallas was awesome, Stealthy Titan. I was actually doing a film job down there, so how appropriate. But thank you for asking. Anyways, getting into this episode a little bit more and, talking about that shot, it was good to see Yara. It was good to see Theon in there. Theon holding true to who he is. Theon actually saying, "I'm not going to be king. It's all about her." And he actually says he's truthful, but he doesn't take away from the fact that he's done terrible things. He actually says, "I didn't kill the Stark children, but I did equally terrible things." That really rung true with me. It seriously did. I love how he said that. It wasn't just, "I didn't kill the Stark boys." Ding. It was, "I murdered other children. I did equally terrible things. It's just I didn't kill those kids who I grew up with." So, pretty twisted logic, but yeah, tough stuff. Lance Alton says, "Do you think that there is a rift between Sansa and Jon? A lot of podcasts I listen to say it's noticeable, and this episode definitely showed it." Well, I think there's a rift just in the fact that they haven't seen each other. And I mean, if we're going, I think show timeline is pretty much a year each season. That's the way they seem to hint at it anyways, because they say like years ago this happened. So in that case, they haven't seen each other in years, guys. Years. And the fact that they both left doe-eyed and bright-eyed children with dreams of becoming heroic warriors and, bearing princes and princesses into the world, they've changed a lot, guys. They've changed more than they have in the 16 to 20 years they've been alive at the beginning of the show. They barely know each other anymore. Sansa, what she's been through, she's been abused and just treated like trash and as a pawn for years now. Jon Snow himself, he's been dead. He's been killed. So I think it's just they've been through so much. The rift is both time wise and it's just they're very different people. Also, the Sansa that Jon last saw was I want to marry Joffrey and have his princes and stuff. So it's insane. Chronicles of Parenthood says that they both have had the worst happen to them. I agree completely. I agree 100%. Thank you so much for weighing in, guys. If you're just tuning in, welcome. I'm here in my makeshift Iron Throne here. And please weigh in. I love hearing from you guys. So I agree. I think that they both have had the absolute worst happen to them. And that's why it was so sort of cathartic for both of them to meet each other at the beginning of this season. It was so nice to see. I think we all needed a Stark reunion just to survive the show at this point. Even if it was like they all died the next episode or something, it's like, okay, we got just a moment of frivolous happiness. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, this was insane. Again, with Daenerys, it was interesting to see Yara and Daenerys have this weird connection. Yara is either bisexual or gay in the show, and then you have Daenerys, who is some sort of bisexual, bi-curious, or bi, I don't care, once in a while in the books. So it was funny to see them sort of having this little interplay that I really enjoyed. It was cool. I love how she says, "What is it? Does yours come with a marriage proposal?" And she's just like, "I'm up for anything." I thought of like the stupid whatever alcoholic campaign that's out there. Like, you up for anything? Have a beer. I was like, what the heck? It was really funny. Oh, Nino Sade. I hope I said that right. But Nino says, I'm surprised that Davos and his fingerless hand survived the gruesome battle, and I believe John will pardon Lady Melisandre. That's a good point, Nino. Davos even said earlier this season, he's like, I'm not the best at fighting. Yeah, but he actually goes ahead and apparently cracks some skulls this episode. So pretty awesome. Pretty awesome stuff. Will John pardon Lady Melisandre, though? I don't know. That's a good question. What do you guys think? Will he pardon Melisandre when Davos sort of has her admit, I'm sure, that she burned a child at the stake? I don't know, but she did bring him back. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. Derek Taylor asks, was the Battle of the Bastards in the books? No, it wasn't, Derek. Not to say that it won't be in the books, which I think is entirely possible at this point, and most likely imminent. But it was not in the books that have been released at this point. The Winds of Winter, yet to come out, most likely contains this battle. But anyone's guess is as good as mine, since we don't know. We're not so ridiculously far ahead of the books at this point that we can't grasp at straws. But I mean, the choo-choo train has finally passed George Martin, so to speak. So we don't know, actually, Derek. But good question. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. But yeah, again, back to the choreography, back to the cinematography. Let's talk about Rickon. Honestly, I felt this was inevitable, as much as I hated the prospect of it. From the moment they brought in Shaggy Dog and Rickon and stuff, I thought he was going to die. It's like, how could he possibly survive? Unless there's like, some faceless man assassin that comes in at night and like steals Rickon out of there. How is he going to get out of this, man? And, the fact that he just destroys Osha right away, in the episode when she's in there. I was like, dude, Rickon. And, Rickon being a Stark, it's just like Sansa said, man. Sansa kind of was very real with her talk to Jon and says, like, Rickon's not going to survive this. He's the last person that's going to survive this. Like, he's a Stark, So it was really sad to see. Chronicles of Parenthood says again, speaking of books, it seems they are not including Aegon Targaryen in the TV series. They're not including Aegon Targaryen. Oh, okay. Chronicles of Parenthood. Talking about actually another character who has not been released in the books. I believe she's talking about young Griff. We may see something akin to that, but I don't know yet. I don't want to be too spoilery just in case there's some cool stuff coming on. But, we'll see what's going on. Of course, Aegon Targaryen is the conqueror who came to Westeros with his 3 dragons. And, he's much talked about. Nino says again, in the books, Dany does have a few bisexual encounters and says to speak nothing of it. I believe it was Missandei. Yes, she does have a few. I think it's not just Missandei, as odd as that is, Nino. But yeah, I think it's entirely possible she's not completely adverse to, Yara's sort of flirtations, right? So it was a cool scene. It was a cool scene to see. And again, Theon, it was just nice. Like I've already said it, but it was just nice to see Theon owning up and kind of keeping with the theme of redemption. He said, I have not killed the Stark children, but I have done equally terrible things. I killed other children. Like I'm not clean. I don't have a clean slate, for goodness sake. So I thought it was very well done. But they do agree to a pact, and they do agree. Okay, I'll take 100 ships. Why not? By the way, one of the best quotes of the episode was Tyrion when he says, yes, our queen does love her ships. Because that's just so funny to me, because who here is with me when, like, how often has she just said, like, I need ships across the narrow sea, or like, how many times has she actually gotten ships almost and they've been taken away from her, or like, even the Dothraki were buying ships and then, Khal Drogo didn't make the cut and stuff. It's just funny that Tyrion kind of making a joke about that. But anyways, okay, back to the inevitable Battle of the Bastards, guys. This fight, and again, as a fight choreographer, as a filmmaker, I'm sure you guys were equally impressed, but just the work that went into this, guys, it was seamlessly done. And I was just so impressed by the, like, I guess that's the only word I can think of. I'm dumbstruck. Seamless. I mean, look at the seamless nature of how these shots go, and like the horses just crashing into each other and stuff. I mean, that had to be CG. I don't think they killed like hundreds of horses in this, and it was just such a horrific, like, Dark Souls level, like, just like level of violence. And just, it's not even the violence, it's just the state of the violence and the aftermath of war. Like, there was a mound of corpses. This is a mountain of corpses that they're climbing over, and they're actually smothering and killing injured people in the mound of corpses and stuff. It was just absolutely horrifying, absolutely harrowing to watch. But this is war, guys. And again, for all of the Hollywood sort of glorification of war, and again, don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of epic, mythology and the Iliad and everything, and the glorification of war. But it also harps in on the tragedy of it. And it was just cool to see not only the tragedy of it with, Rickon and all these other things, which it was a shame with Rickon. All I could think with Rickon is like, dude, run in zigzags, man. Like, just run like a chaotic, insane path toward Jon Snow. He'll never hit you. He just ran the straight line. I was like, oh, no. Anyways, it was terrible. And Nino says that, yes. Anyways, yeah, it was terrible to see. And I was just like, no, Rickon, don't do it. But he does. But again, the realism. So I love particularly, that, again, the like minute long shot that I've been talking about for, I think, half this review now of Jon Snow. First of all, he goes just angrily to avenge Rickon, which was awesome. And then he just kind of gets hit. His horse goes down. He's kind of hurt. He's not injured. He's just kind of like, ow, my hip hurts. I just smashed into the ground. Most people would be dead, right? He stands up. He draws Longclaw. I just love how he discards the scabbard and says, like, all right, we're doing this. I'm out here. There's no one behind me. And then, of course, we don't see behind Jon. We have this beautiful, heroic, sort of sacrificial shot of Jon Snow as he gets ready to charge. Just an oncoming cavalry, a massive army on horseback, by the way. And he just charges into, and he doesn't charge, but he's just at the ready. That's why we love Jon Snow. Again, not the most clever, not the one that's going to outsmart you and kind of play the game against you, but he's just a good guy. He's just brave, and he's just going to go and die for Sansa. I mean, he's already died once. He's probably like, I'm used to this, but I'm joking. But, he's going to die for Rickon, avenge his family, avenge his father. Like, it's just so tough for him at this point. He made a grave error, actually, charging by himself after Rickon was killed. Unfortunately, of course, the fact of the matter is, just Ramsay, man, such a monster, such a horrifying monster. Let me know what you think of Ramsay in the comments. That's sort of his last hurrah of just absolute scummy like actions. Chronicles says you can tell he was raised by Ned Stark. I have to agree. Chronicles of Parenthood. That's great, and I'm glad you're thinking the same thing. Nino says I was hoping that Ghost would have devoured Ramsay instead, but I can't complain on his death. That's a great point, Nino. Where was Ghost? I didn't even think about that. Where was Ghost, guys? Ghost unseen. Chronicles of Parenthood says, I thought that was going to happen too, Nino. That would have been pretty cool. Oh, and Pedro Monzon. I hope I said that right. Hello, Pedro. Says, do you think that Jon wants to die? Like he is seeking death? That is a really good perspective, Pedro. Really interesting one. I think at the point of Rickon's death, yes. I think Jon was seeking death. I don't think he was going to blindly die. I think he wanted to destroy Ramsay no matter what. I think he was just, I am going to murder this monster who did this to an innocent child. In that moment, absolutely seeking death. Absolutely. And I think his conversation with Melisandre earlier in the episode backs up your angle on that, your perspective on that, Pedro. Of course, he says to Melisandre, if I fall, don't bring me back. Which, that says a lot to say that. I mean, I don't know that he's seeking death, but I think he's saying, like, I'm tired of... He said this when he came back, I'm tired of fighting. I've fought for years. I've infiltrated armies. I've seen my lover die. I've seen all these horrible things. I died. I was killed by my brother. I don't want to fight anymore. But of course, because of what he's done, because of how he's fought, it was interesting to see him, Ramsay, say, they talk about you like you're the best swordsman ever to live, which he's destroyed the leader of the Thenns. I mean, he's beaten the Half Hand, though that was a pretty staged fight, I think. He's done some incredible things. So he is quite strong. Lance says, I think if Ghost appeared in the battle, they probably would have died in the chaos. And dang it, if we haven't had enough direwolf deaths this season, I'm with Lance. But I have to agree with our other friends here. I think it would have been awesome if Ghost was, there maybe just there to witness this destruction at the end. Because I think it was poetic justice that his own dogs destroyed him. Ghost is the last remaining, isn't he? He's actually not Chronicles of Parenthood. We also have Nymeria, who is Arya's direwolf, who is probably roaming the Riverlands somewhere. Nino says, I'm really interested on what Littlefinger's master plan is. So many opportunities. Yeah, Nino. I mean, Littlefinger's just a master, as we know, of sort of just controlling everything that's going on. And I think it's interesting that now, and I talked about this earlier, I don't want to be too long-winded here. It's almost as if he's attempting to just win over the favor of the Starks and Jon and everything, kind of make a good first impression on Jon, who he's actually never met, and just kind of, I don't know what he's doing, but he's just playing so many sides at this point. Did he plan on Ramsay, terrorizing Sansa? I have no idea. Probably, but I don't know. He didn't know the guy. It's tough. Yeah, but Arya's in the Riverlands, Nymeria. Yes, she is alive and well. All right, she is the alpha in the huge pack. Yes, that's been mentioned in the books. Not sure about the show, but I remember that from the books, guys. It's like, oh, there's some crazy, massive, army of wolves being led around by this monster. And it's kind of that classic sort of hint, hint, it's got to be Nymeria, right? That Martin hint, which we all have come to love. Anyway, so the battle. Yeah, the battle was chaotic. It was brutal. And it goes, again, and this is why I like this, it goes from the very Hollywood, shot of Jon Snow greeting the approaching army with his sword drawn, and this beautiful actual shot, to it just degrades and just disintegrates into this disgusting display of carnage and just mutilation and the reality of war and just death and seriously, people are being smothered, corpses being smothered by other corpses, people with lost limbs trying to crawl up the mountain of corpses and being smothered by desperate escapees. It was just this vividly real portrayal of how that would go down. So again, really impressive. As disgusting as it was cool too to see Jon sort of I don't know what the word is. It was cool to see Jon actually enveloped in that and almost buried and killed by the ensuing chaos. It was very believable that would happen. It was awesome to me to see, who is it? Apparently the Small Jon, right? I think it was Small Jon Umber versus Tormund, Giant's Bane. And that was as if we thought the pile of corpses battle couldn't get any more visceral and real and just gritty. That fight was disgusting. It went from just headbutting into the harder-headed man goes the spoils, and then it just degraded. I think Tormund took out a bone or something and stabbed him to death with it. I'm not even sure what that was, but that was some classic wildling stuff. I was just thinking dude, yeah, you're a really I'm a tough as nails northern dude, but I was like, you're no wildling, man. You're no Tormund Giantsbane, even though you're a little bit taller possibly and really strong. Dude, remember what I want to quote Alistair Thorne on this one from season 1 when he's like, the wildlings are hard men. You'll never be as hard as that, or whatever he says to Sam and Jon. I think he was right on that. Pedro again says, I think Littlefinger wants Sansa to get the North. He doesn't care for Jon Snow. He is the bastard son. He has the Eyrie, Harrenhal, and he is going for the North. It's a good point, Pedro. I like the way you're thinking, and I think, inevitably, Littlefinger is just, he has so much influence. He just does at this point. So much going on. Anyways, guys, as the fight goes on, it degrades into this madness. 1-1 is just, 1-1's carrying his weight, man, as a giant. He's just taking so many spears, dude. I was like, no, I kind of knew it was coming because he's just taking so much. I was like, no, don't do it. Interesting to note that 1-1 seals the deal for this battle, which I thought was pretty extreme. Also, what I loved about 1-1 is you get sort of hints of his honor in this stuff. In that way, is when Rickon was killed, besides Jon Snow, 1-1. I have to go back and watch this. I could be wrong, guys. I'm pretty sure 1-1 starts the charge. He's like, and just goes. And I was like, yeah, that's right. He really cares about Jon Snow. Jon Snow, who died for him and all the wildlings. It was just really heartbreaking to see him. It was very telling to see him mourn the death of a brother that he doesn't even know. He'll never know, Rickon. It was just really cool. I like that little touch. But anyways, 1-1's taking hits. It's just degrading into absolute chaos. Davos even joins the fray. He's like, what are we doing back here? Let's do this. He gets into it, even with his, shortened fingers and stuff. Just absolutely crazy. Absolute chaotic stuff. But from there, of course, in sort of a Hollywood and sort of actually reprise of what we saw in the Battle of the Blackwater, with Tywin Lannister leading the Tyrells into the battle, led by Loras and Tywin himself. We have, of course, Littlefinger, the Knights of the Vale, and the Lords of the Vale, most likely, leading this charge. This just decimation of these sort of. It was a very like tortoise sort of phalanx. It was a very phalanx formation. That's like a ancient Greek way of fighting. That's what the Spartans would have used. The 300 movie, don't think about that because it's like totally inaccurate, and they used like Roman things in that, which makes no sense. But yeah, the phalanx is this tight shielded sort of way of just pushing forward and stuff. They never had like the cover on top in Greek times. That was a Roman trick, the whole like tortoise formation. But anyways, I'm boring you with that. It was awesome. Chronicles of Parenthood says, it is interesting to see just how right Sansa was about Ramsay and the battle. Yep, Sansa was absolutely right. He sprung the trap. He did just about everything to the point where he forced Jon to charge by just driving him insane with anger. The fact of killing his innocent little brother, which Sansa really called. It's a great point, Chronicles of Parenthood. Thank you for saying that. But yeah, it was cool too to see Ramsay kind of sitting there like, I've got this, kind of wallowing in his would-be victory. Then the Knights of the Vale come, and it was just so satisfying to me to see Ramsay like, who are these guys? What's going on here? It was pretty crazy to see just sort of the destruction and decimation of that phalanx formation. And it looked to be most of the non-horseback sort of foot soldiers, I should say, of the Boltons and possibly the Umbers. It seems like the Umbers had their own sort of mini charge in there, and the Umbers were trying to pincer attack them from the back and sort of tunnel them into the phalanx formation. Of course, Jon Snow realizes, like, we got to climb up this mound of corpses. Again, one of the most horrifying things we've ever actually seen in Game of Thrones. Can we just say that? It's a human corpse mountain. But the disgusting part was they weren't corpses. They were mostly injured people who were being smothered by dead people and killed and suffocated. Really upsetting stuff. Jon Snow goes through a disgusting experience there and almost dies. Wonder if Bran will show up at Winterfell with Uncle Benjen for a Stark reunion. Well, wouldn't that be something, Nino? Wouldn't that be something? It seems a little too warm and fuzzy for Game of Thrones, but it would be awesome to see that many Starks back in Winterfell, man. It just would. I don't know where else Bran can go at this point. I fear for the worst for the North in general. I feel like because it's Thrones, like, oh, we finally taken back Winterfell. Here come the White Walkers. Like, I think that's what's going to happen. It's like, by the way, we somehow gotten through the wall or destroyed the wall or some like absolute insanity that's been hinted at in the books. I don't know, though. I know as much as you guys do. The books are, in the rearview mirror. So, but anyway, so as we come to the end here, 1-1, Tormund and Jon Snow. Can I just say that's a dream team, dude? That's like the team you want. If you're gonna be just charging into a castle, like you got 1-1 who, at this point, I mean, if you want to talk about someone seeking death, it's probably 1-1, because like he is the last of the giants. He has nothing to live for. I mean, what's he gonna do? No one speaks his language. I mean, I'm pretty sure a couple wildlings speak the giants' tongue, hence they can communicate and stuff. Maybe Tormund does actually, or did. But I mean, dude, he watched his friend die at the battle at the wall. Like, he obviously can't reproduce or breathe. Like, it's just really sad. And I think not so much seeking death for him, but he's just so willing to fight for his friends because, number one, they're the only friends he's got left, and number two, like, he doesn't really have a lot going on, guys. He's very, very sad existence. So it was cool to see him kind of do that. And again, I will not give this kill to Ramsay Bolton no matter what. It was a Smash Bros. Kill steal, and that's what it was. He was already dead. Just imagine the visions, says Nino, that Melisandre is going to have once they burn all those bodies. Yeah, that's very true, Nino. Larry Slade says Daenerys is the new villain. That's a good point, Larry. Seriously, she stepped up her like burn them all game there in a very Mad King sort of familial way. Nino says good point on 1-1. I agree. Thank you, Nino. So yeah, Larry has a good point. And I love Tyrion, dude. Tyrion's crazy, by the way. He just says it to the point where he doesn't even care about himself, where he just goes like, yeah, you're crazy just like your dad right now. You're about to burn cities to the ground. Jaime, by the way, who, if Daenerys hates anyone on earth, it's probably Jaime Lannister. Like, he killed her father, stabbed him in the back, apparently, right? It's just insane that he was just like, yeah, you're crazy like your dad. You're gonna burn people. My brother Jamie told me before he murdered your father that he was gonna burn people, hence the kill. It's just like Tyrion's insane, and I love it. Daenerys actually, oddly enough, notes his position, but doesn't really give up too much ground on it, if that makes sense. So, anyways, Pedro says there was no place for 1-1 in Westeros. Predictable death. Yeah, predictable, but not without weight, Pedro. Not without weight. I thought he was gonna die much earlier, but it was good to see him show his gestures and his tokens. Nino says he most likely knew that he was gonna die once he broke the door. You can see it. He had had enough. Rest in peace. I agree. He knew he was gonna die. That was his last strength. That was his last moment. That was his last heroic. I mean, he's taking spears to the. I mean, he's got like 900 arrows in him. It made me think of the cave troll from the Fellowship of the Ring. Like the only believable fight with any sort of big creature in those movies, right? Is the cave troll fight, where they fight and it takes so much to destroy this guy. Of course, later in the movies they're like one-shotting him and stuff, which makes no sense. But yeah, it was really good. And 1-1, rest in peace. We should be thankful that 1-1 is the only one we lost because it's Game of Thrones. We didn't lose Davos, we didn't lose Sansa, we didn't lose Jon Snow. We made it out all right, so to speak, this time around. But yes, he certainly has no place. Anyway, so we're coming to the end. Things got crazy. Things got out of hand. But Ramsay stinking Bolton, dude. I love 1-1 hero of the week. Oh, definitely Pedro. 1-1 won the battle. He got through that door. Yes, I think the Knights of the Eyrie would have made pretty short work of that gate, considering they weren't planning on a siege because of their arrogance. That gate isn't the biggest gate I've ever seen. I mean, 1-1 got through it in like a couple shoulder strikes and a couple punches. Pretty sure they could have dealt with that with some crazy battering ram stuff or like burning it or goodness knows what. But 1-1 did it, man. 1-1 just assured like this is gonna be over. Ramsay Bolton must die. I will avenge Jon Snow's brother and all of my fallen, my fallen race, my fallen species, as they say. It was just really cool to see. And 1-1, I like that him and Jon Snow had a moment before Ramsay defiles his face and stuff, defiles the corpse, because I'm not giving that kill to Ramsay. He was already dead. You can hear his last breath in there. It was really crazy. I love this. I'm glad that Ramsay, in his sort of insane way, is like, I prefer a one-on-one fight, Jon Snow. It was cool. How do you think episode 10 will wrap up, says Larry. I think it's going to be the classic denouement of the series, where they sort of epilogue it up and go down that road. But I think we're going to get a little bit more action than we usually do for an episode 10. And I don't mean action like today. I mean, I think we're going to get more. I think we're going to get more just, plot progression, more big things happening, possible, character deaths and stuff. That's just my prediction. I won't get into too many details because of possible book hints and things that I know. Lloyd says Ramsay died exactly how I wanted him to. That's awesome, Lloyd. Yeah, let's talk about it. We're there. Chronicles of Parenthood says he used your how to chain punch video to open that door. That's awesome, Chronicles of Parenthood. You win. You win this live stream. I do martial arts tutorials, and 1-1 used my how to chain punch tutorial to break through that door. I love it because I said it's a battering ram. You're awesome, Chronicles of Parenthood. The day is yours. Anyways, Nino side. I'm probably saying that wrong, but Nino says, nice cameo by Lady Mormont with her stern face. I'll fight for her any day. That was awesome. That was awesome, Nino. I have to agree. It was good not to see her in the fray, though. I was like, okay, can she please not fight? Like, we got enough, like, child death this episode, which is really upsetting. We did lose Rickon. We lost 1-1. Really tough episode. But anyway, so, okay, let's talk about Ramsay's destruction. Let's talk about his death. Well-deserved death. So I love how Jon Snow just says, like, there was actually a battle of the bastards in a weird way. He gets up to him, he's shooting arrows into the shield. Like, what a loser, man. I just Ramsay, and like for me, a bow and arrow is a coward's weapon. I'm gonna pull an Achilles right now from the Iliad. I always refer to archers as cowards. Like, dude, and this is an absolute coward. Like, there's a one-on-one fight, and you're trying to just like shoot somebody with arrows, like when they're defenseless. Come on, dude. So he throws down his sword, he takes a shield. And I love this. He just walks right up to him. He deflects the arrows, or he absorbs the arrows, and he just kind of like destroys his sternum with the shield. Which, by the way, like I just want you guys to think about that. This is why Ramsay could not defend himself essentially when Jon mounted him, I should say. Um, I mean, that's a steel shield, man, to the sternum. It's not like, oh, I got knocked down. I mean, you want to talk about my Wing Chun videos where like I throw people down and stuff? Like, this is a steel shield, man. It's just probably broke his sternum or like broke his ribs or did some terrible sort of damage. Anyway, he starts just pounding on his face in a very Wing Chun sort of Yip Man way, right? Just pounding on a very ape-like sort of gorilla, orangutan, knuckle dragon, just absolute carnal, instinctual destruction to his face, and he deserved every hit. I love though again is that he did not cave in his face and break his skull and shatter him and kill him, because he looks over at Sansa, and I don't think it was a like Sansa deserves this kill. I think it was actually, and I think that's what people are thinking. I think it was more of a let's not be like Ramsay and just like mindlessly murder people. Sansa's watching. I don't want to be a monster like Ramsay. I want to show that I am the antithesis of Ramsay Bolton, as my bastard counterpart here. I am a hero, and heroes don't just bludgeon someone to death when the war is won, and prisoners should be taken. Nino says Arya will show up at the Riverlands, meet up with the BWB, the Brotherhood Without Banners, and the Hound to get revenge at the meeting with the Freys and Lannisters. Well, Nino, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? That would be awesome. Yeah, I don't know either way. That would be sweet. Good idea. Good theory. But anyway, he just destroys Ramsay. He hits him. He strikes him down. He apparently imprisons him in, and I'm pretty sure what happened is like Sansa put him there. I'm not really sure what happened because I can't picture him already in the kennels with the hounds unchained and stuff. I'm pretty sure Sansa had something to do with that. But anyway, he's in there, and I think you have to be careful here because I already see a lot of people not complaining, but they're kind of like, oh, they should have tore Ramsay limb for limb and flayed him and done this terrible torture to him and stuff, or taken his penis or something. It's like, that's the Ramsay way, guys. The fact that he died like this, you should be pleased. The fact that he was eaten and ripped to shreds when his face was destroyed. It was a nice touch to see that he suffered for hours and hours, just from Jon's destruction of his face. I mean, the fact that he was still bleeding from his skull when he was in there and it was nighttime. Like, I just want to remind you, this battle happened at dawn, so Ramsay was still bleeding out of his skull when the night came. I mean, that's like Jon did some damage, is what I'm telling you. Anyways, the hounds who haven't eaten in 7 days. I love how they use that. It was said there. Dylan Burke says Ramsay got it easy. Oh, Ramsay got it extremely easy. As far as Ramsays go, he got it extremely easy, and I'm sure he was, satisfied with the fact that they're not as monsters as him. But at the same time, yeah, it was nice to see him sort of trying to smile through it and be his like smug, insane self. Like, oh, I'm soon will be parted, and I'll always be a part of you and stuff. That was cool, and I love how Sansa just, her last words just refute everything he was trying to do. He was trying to just get in her head one last time through that cage, be like, oh, you're always going to remember how I just destroyed you and how I abused you and all these terrible things I did to you and, your chastity and these things. And she just refutes it all. And she's just like, by the way, I'm like really strong, so I don't really care about that. But also, like, you and any effect you had on me, or better yet, the entire world, will be forgotten, washed away. Like, you are nothing, you are nobody, and your own hounds are going to eat you. That's it. So you're going to become dog poopy, and that's the end of the day. Chronicles of Parenthood says Jon was tenderizing their meat. He was tenderizing it. I agree. He seemed to enjoy the beating, don't you think? Ramsay? No, I think that's... I see what you're saying, because he was like... But I think at the end of the day, he was... it's this bravado, like this false brave, like... That's my personality, so I have to be the guy who would smile when I get beat down. That's what I think it's more of. And it's also like, this is a scared Ramsay, by the way. We saw him sort of cave. We saw him go like, we're safe in Winterfell. You saw the panic on his face. And then when he knows the game is up, he was just like, I'm going to try and shoot Jon Snow, but I mean, he knows he's dead, man. Like, what's he going to do? Anyways, Dylan says, there's so many ways they could have killed him. Hey, mate. Yeah, I agree, Dylan. It's tough. It's really tough. But I think this was pretty appropriate. Other people said Ghost should have eaten him, but I think this was good. Chronicles of Parenthood says Sansa had a few smirks this episode. Yes, she did. Dylan Burke says if Sansa would have said to Jon, "Hey, I have an army of 5K mounted troops," then maybe Rickon in The Last Giant wouldn't be dead. It's a good point, Dylan, and I hope Jon sort of says that to her next episode, makes that apparent. It's like our brother's dead. Um, we could have had a completely different strategy had we had known. We could have surprised them and everything. So it's tough. It's really tough. I mean, they could have done that pincer, like not pincer, just like that side sweeping attack, surprise attack on Ramsay's entire formation at the beginning of the battle. Again, though, I don't see how Rickon would have survived because he's got him on a leash. It just is what it is. Nino says, loved how Tormund didn't understand the lingo, but the demons in the head. Oh, that was funny. You saw these demons. Yeah, that was great. He didn't have demons in his head. Yeah, that was great. Pedro, Sansa killed 1-1 and most of Jon's army of wildlings. Oh, definitely. Definitely, Pedro. Chronicles of Parenthood said, but did she ever get word back from Littlefinger? We don't know that. Chronicles of Parenthood says, maybe she didn't realize he was coming. And Dylan says, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just a shame that, she doesn't trust Jon, I guess. But I think for her, it's more of like she's ashamed to have to resort to using Littlefinger. That's really what I think it is. Because let's face it, Littlefinger is like, bottom of the barrel when it comes to alliances and stuff like that. You got to use his help. You're like, ugh. You're not going to have a good aftertaste. You're not going to feel good about it. It's like calling that old girlfriend or boyfriend where you're like, oh, I don't want to do this, but I need some gains. It was one of those situations. I'm glad Yara and Dany are allied now, says Lloyd. Yes, I agree. Again, I talked about it earlier already, so I won't bore the people who are rewatching this, but really cool. If the Lord of Light works for the living, then why can't get on the battlefield and rescue as many people as possible? Good point, Dylan. Saber Shock! Good to see you, Saber. Thank you so much, man. Apparently I got this working, if it's still going. I was talking to Saber earlier, trying to set it up and failing miserably. I struggled, but here we are. Dylan Melisande. Pedro says, yes, exactly. The worst villain in both the show and the books is Littlefinger. Yes, Pedro. As far as a clever villain, yes. Considering he caused almost the entire spiral of destruction that started the Game of Thrones here, I think you're right. Oddly enough, he created every other villain in existence here, so. Oh, what's up, Josie? Is that Josie Wales? Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But he says, will Sansa marry Littlefinger, giving him Winterfell, or will she try to bring Sweet Robin back in against him? Ooh, Sweet Robin being used against him. That would be cool. I see Sansa has learned the ways of Littlefinger. She's catching on. She's now a lot stronger mentally, too. So she's not still like kind of innocent Sansa trying to learn the Littlefinger ways. She's learned a lot in the past couple of years. So I think now she's kind of have a mix of both of those things, if that makes sense. Dylan says, I think Peter Baelish redeemed himself. It's yet to be seen, Dylan. The problem with Peter Baelish is he always has, not only one motive, but, 10 hidden motives behind the hidden motive. So it's going to be interesting to see how he works that out. Well, technically, Sansa is still married to Tyrion, isn't she? Yes, she is, Chronicles. She's also married to the late Ramsay Bolton as well. Saber, yeah, try to use a PS4, but you need to be playing a game for that. Thanks, Saber. Yeah, oh, man, I realized, I don't even want to know. You don't want to know what I had to go through to get this stream going. Still not sure how people, says Lloyd, still not sure how people get around Westeros and Essos so quickly, though. They got a bullet train or something. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, for the sake of the efficiency of the show, I'm fine with, like, them appearing places. I mean, timelines get mixed up a little bit, but it's fine. What's up, Griever Nightmare? Awesome name. Is that Zach Fair in your picture? I can't see. If that's a Final Fantasy picture, I love it. That is the same we thought of Arya. Yes, very true. Arya. Love it. Nino says, no, she's not because it wasn't consummated. Oh, okay, that's true. Tyrion was not consummated. Dylan Burke, well, as long as his motives are good, then I'm good with that. Cha-ching. Yeah, I think you're right. It's yet to be seen, but as one man I would never, ever trust. Josie, again, says, I'm sure it puts him in a good position with the Lannisters if he's able to take Winterfell. Indeed. Saber, it's good to see you, Saber. Can I just say, man, it's been too long. I'm going to get back on Twitch soon. I also stream on Twitch and game, if you guys are wondering. Lloyd says Zax. Yes, that's right, Lloyd. Awesome pictures. Love it, guys. Awesome to see more Final Fantasy fans here. I do a lot of gaming too, both here and on Twitch. But awesome. All right, so we've come to the end of the episode, guys. We're going on an hour here, so I will end this in a second. But guys, I think overall, just as a review, it was fantastic. You can't help but compare it to Blackwater. You can't help but compare it to the Battle at the Wall. Can't remember that episode name. Might have been Watchers on the Wall or something. But you can't help but compare it to the other big battle set pieces in the series. As I said at the beginning of this review, it's the most risk-taking, the most artistic, the most visceral, the most realistic, and overall, for me, the best. I say that as a filmmaker, but also as an audience member, as a book reader and everything. I qualify that because it's just, they hit everything. They hit everything. They hit the disgust, the mounds of corpses. Like I said, they remind me of Dark Souls. I don't know why. It is the Dark Souls, like, it was disgusting, you know. But they also hit the epic, beautiful Hollywood glorification of war when he draws his sword and stuff. Later, bro. Oh, yeah, Nino, take it easy. Thanks so much for stopping in. Thanks so much to everybody, seriously. Thanks for the show. You're a blast. Thank you, Lloyd. No, you guys are the best. Listen, I only do this because you guys watch, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And guys, you know, those of you just tuning in and just checking out the channel, I do all this Renaissance or wannabe Renaissance man kind of stuff here. I do martial arts, drawing tutorials, gaming, reviews like this. I do fitness stuff too. So this is a channel for people who have diverse interests like me. Like, I love Game of Thrones, so I want to talk about it. I love all this other random stuff like drawing, and I want to teach you guys about martial arts and stuff. So that's it. Dylan says, can we all agree the White Walkers have giants fighting for them? Everyone is basically in trouble. Yeah, that's a good point, Dylan. If they have white giants, people are seriously in trouble. Thank you again, Nino. Dylan subscribed. Oh, welcome to the Philosophers, Dylan. I really appreciate that. Glad to see you again, man. You need to hop on and see some stuff I made for you in Minecraft. Oh, Saber, I cannot wait. I was going to do it earlier, but I was in a mad dash to get this stream set up, and I was late anyway. So, Saber, soon, man. Guys, honestly, if you're tuning in now, I may, right after this, do another stream instantaneously about just the battle and do a quick talk about the choreography as a choreographer and a filmmaker. So stick around the channel for a second. I may hop right back on to the live stream here. But thank you again, guys. Thank you so much. Overall, the episode's fantastic. It really impressed me in so many different ways. As I sit here watching this episode, it was like watching a few seasons of Dexter. Euphoric, all in one. That's awesome, Griever. I love it. But thanks so much, guys. It's both bittersweet to see another episode 9 go. One of the last big battle episode 9s that we'll get. Possibly the last episode 9 we'll ever get if they do split up the seasons like they said they are going to be. So it was very cool to sort of harken back to all those memories of the old episode 9 days, if this is the final one, and kind of go with that. So thank you so much for this hour sticking around with me, guys. If you listen to me blabber on this long, see you next week, says Chronicles of Parenthood. Thank you, Chronicles, and it's awesome to know, you know, I'm just humbled by Chronicles of Parenthood, watching my other videos and stuff. That's awesome. You made my night. You made my night. Thank you. Lance says, yeah, man, love the stuff. I'll try to chime in every week just to be part of the great community you got going on. Lance, that makes my night too. Thank you so much. All I want, guys, is to make a positive community for you guys. So I really appreciate it. That means a lot to me. That's why I keep doing this. Anyways, thank you so much. Dylan says it's the most expensive and long episode ever filmed. I have to agree with you. Very expensive, but it paid off. So beautiful. You guys are all the best. Thank you so much. From dragons to the destruction of Ramsay Bolton and the ensuing celebrations. It was a fantastic episode. It's a fantastic journey. Thank you so much, guys, and please stay tuned next week. Make sure to follow if you want to become a philosopher. You know, hit that subscribe button. Join us as we do a bunch of random stuff as we create this community for people who aren't just defined or can't be, you know, encased by one little thing like, oh, you're an artist, or oh, you're a fitness guy. You like Game of Thrones. You're one of those like nerds, right? Or you're a gamer. We do a lot of fun stuff here, so subscribe if you want to join the community. Join the philosophers. Anyways, all I have to say is that's it. Thank you for everything. And if you're kind of watching, you're thinking about subscribing, but you're unsure, all I can say is do it. Do it. Come on. Do it now. Come on. I'm here. Kill me. Do it now. Come on.